You're lying on open ground. No tent. No walls. No lock on a door. Somewhere out there, a lion is awake. Watching. Waiting. You can't see it. You can't hear it. Your eyes are closed. Your body is still. 4 hours you'll stay exactly like this. Defenseless. Exposed. Sleep. And yet, tonight you'll survive. Not by luck. Not by accident. By a system your ancestors built, piece by piece, over 1,000,000 years. Fire. Bedding. Behavior. All of it working together while you sleep. Tonight we're going to find out how it worked. Right now you fall asleep behind a locked door. Maybe an alarm system. Maybe just a wall and a window latch. You don't think about predators. You don't think about the dark outside. Sleep for you is rest. Nothing more. Your ancestors didn't have that luxury. For most of human history, sleep wasn't rest at all. It was risk. Every single night was a gamble, against animals built, evolved and sharpened to kill in total darkness. There was no lock. No wall. Just open ground, and whatever your ancestors had figured out how to build around themselves. Think about that for a second. Thousands of generations. Every single one of them figuring out this exact same problem over and over again before you were ever born. Let's break this down properly. Sleeping in the open created 3 very real problems. Problem 1, darkness itself was dangerous, and, strangely, predictable. Researchers analyzed over 1,000 lion attacks on humans in Tanzania, between 1988 and 2009. Over 2/3 of those attacks were fatal. That alone is terrifying. But here's the twist. The attacks weren't random. They spiked hard on the darkest nights of the month. This happened when the moon was faint, or hadn't risen at all. What? Lions need darkness to sneak up unseen. Bright moonlight ruins their ambush completely. Their prey can see them coming. So the danger your ancestors faced wasn't constant. It came in waves. It rose and fell with the sky itself, night after night, month after month. Problem 2, the human body is genuinely terrible at handling this threat. No night vision. No claws. No thick hide or armor plating. A lion in the dark has every advantage. A sleeping human has almost none. That mismatch didn't disappear just because your ancestors needed rest. It stayed there, every single night, waiting to be exploited. And it wasn't just lions. Leopards, hyenas, and other nighttime hunters all shared the same basic advantage over a sleeping human body. Problem 3, simply staying awake all night was never a real option. Modern hunter-gatherers today still sleep only 5.7 to 7.1 hours a night on average. Researchers studying the Hadza, San, and Tsimane peoples found something genuinely strange. None of their 3 languages even has a word for insomnia. Sleep isn't optional for the human body. It never was. It's non-negotiable, predators or not. So here's the real problem your ancestors were up against. They couldn't outsee the predators in the dark. They couldn't simply stay awake forever, night after night. They needed a completely different way to tilt the odds back in their favor. This wasn't a problem one person could solve alone either. It needed shared knowledge. It needed tools. It needed generations of trial and error, passed down carefully, long before anyone wrote anything down. That's exactly what happened next. The first tool was fire. At Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, archaeologists uncovered the earliest secure evidence of controlled fire use anywhere on Earth. It dates back roughly 1,000,000 years. This fire wasn't an accident. It was found deep inside the cave, far beyond where any wildfire could have reached on its own. That means someone carried it in. Someone kept it burning. Someone maintained it deliberately night after night. Fire did 3 jobs at once. It lit up the darkness that predators depended on to hunt. It signaled loudly that a human camp was nearby. And it gave people a reason to stay close together after dark, awake, alert, watching each other's backs. One controlled fire changed the entire math of nighttime survival. But fire alone wasn't enough. Ancient humans also engineered exactly where and how they slept. At Sibudu Cave, also in South Africa, archaeologists found constructed bedding dating back 77,000 years. This wasn't grass thrown carelessly on a cave floor. People layered sedges and rushes, then deliberately topped them with crushed leaves from a plant called Cryptocarya woodii. Crushed those leaves and they released natural insect-repelling compounds. This was a designed sleeping surface. Built with intent, using specific plants for a specific purpose. Then, at Border Cave, researchers found something even older. Bedding dating back roughly 200,000 years. Built directly on top of layers of ash. Why ash specifically? Because ash physically blocks the breathing pores of crawling insects. It's a natural, effective pest barrier, no chemistry required, just applied observation. And right beside these ancient beds, every single time? Fireplaces. Sleep, insect defense, and fire, all combined into one repeated design, generation after generation. This wasn't luck. It was a refined system, tested and passed down for thousands of years. There's a behavioral piece here too. Modern hunter-gatherer camps almost always build fires as a central gathering point. People sleep near them. People work near them. People talk near them late into the night. That closeness mattered. A predator considering an attack wasn't just facing one sleeping target. It was facing a cluster of bodies and a fire. And the risk that someone somewhere was still half awake and listening. Numbers alone change the odds. A lone sleeper is easy prey. A group, gathered tight around a fire, is a much harder problem for any predator to solve. But there's one more piece to this puzzle. This whole time, we've been asking why predators didn't get humans. Maybe the better question is why predators learned to fear humans in the first place. In Kruger National Park, researchers ran a striking experiment. They played recordings of human voices and separately recordings of lion roars to wild African mammals across the landscape. The result was stark. Animals fled from human voices almost twice as often, and noticeably faster, than they fled from actual lions. 95% of the species tested were more afraid of us than they were of lions. Elephants. Rhinos. Even massive animals that lions themselves generally avoid hunting. They ran harder from a recorded human voice than from an apex predator's actual roar. Here's the bigger idea hiding inside all of this. We've always told this story backward. We picture ancient humans as fragile, helpless prey, quietly hoping the predators would simply leave them alone at night. But somewhere along the way that entire relationship flipped. Fire. Engineered bedding. Group behavior. Cooperation passed down for generations. Humans didn't just barely survive the predators of the ancient world. We became the thing every other predator on the landscape learned to fear. That fear didn't come from claws, speed, or strength. Ancient humans had none of those advantages. It came from behavior. From systems. From a species that kept building slightly better answers, generation after generation, until the balance of power quietly reversed. Think about how strange that actually is. A soft-skinned, slow-running, night-blind animal became the single most feared presence on the entire landscape. Not because evolution gave humans better weapons than a lion's claws or a leopard's speed. It didn't. It happened because humans learned to cooperate, to build, and to pass knowledge down through generations. Fire. Bedding. Group vigilance. None of it required stronger bodies. All of it required smarter behavior. That's the real story hiding inside this topic. Predators didn't stop being dangerous. Humans simply stopped being easy. So picture that same scene again. You asleep out in the open, completely still. Except now you know what's actually happening around you. A fire is burning nearby, deliberately kept alive. Your bedding is layered with insect-blocking leaves and ash, built by hands that knew exactly what they were doing. And somewhere out in the dark, an animal hears a human voice. It quietly decides tonight isn't worth the risk. You were never as helpless as you looked lying there in the dark. You were protected by a system your ancestors spent 1,000,000 years perfecting, piece by piece. Fire that never went fully out. Bedding built with real, tested knowledge. People close enough to hear each other breathe. None of it happened by accident. Every piece was learned, tested, and passed down night after night for longer than we can easily imagine. And it worked so well in the end that the predators learned to fear you back. That's not just a story about survival. That's the quiet beginning of everything that came after.